Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book. Falling apart. Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Let's see if the tuning is right. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sagrajatam Sahavano Raghunathan Vidantam Sajivam Sadvetam Samadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahavano Lalita Shri Vishakhanditangsha Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Shri Krishna Līlākatane Sudākṣam Audarya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Tvam Shirasam Namāmi Chaitanya Leela-mrita Sarasaram Nārāyaṇam Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshavariti Namine Ati Charitraya Svashritanam Shaparine Jiva Dukhe Sadalkaya Shri Nama Premadayine Namo Vishnupadaya कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दैने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाद्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनतारिणे रूपानुगम्भिरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भार सम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगम्बरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रियम् वैष्णवः सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतो पङ्गो मम मन्दं मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदं भोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठानिधिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भे वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्मेन्दुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तु नः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहातावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनम् सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामेव केवलम् कलो नस्त्येव 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 गतिः nanyatha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're going to have to keep your eye on that when it goes to 50% or 90%. And I don't have the internet. I don't have it connected to Facebook here. Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. Page 29 in the songbook. Jiva Pavana Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. If you do not have a songbook, Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts the bhajans in the comment section of the thread. So just scroll to the most recent post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu, and there you will find the bhajan along with translation, and frequently followed by beautiful commentaries from our acharyas. Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. Jaya Jaya Shri नाम मुझे रति नहीं हो यारो नाम मुझे रोयतो वैष्णवदा जय जय श्री गुरु प्रेम अद्भुत जाको परका गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद परंपरा गुरु परंपरा गुरु परंपरा गुरु परंपरा श्रील गुरुदेव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय रूपान गुरुवर्ग की जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय ए बार करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई page 44 ए बारो करुणा करो EIBARA एबार करुणा करो वैष्णव One second. We need to start this in a proper prayerful mood, which we did, but it just came a little late.
Sorry, I messed up really bad. I just...
एबार करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई पाप दूरे जाए। Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Oh, I was thinking of a different tune for Young Kali Rupa, but I think that's the one we are doing. Young Kali Rupa.
Page 47.
47. Need to make sure it doesn't go too high. Yeah. There we go. Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Braj Mandal Parikrama Gosvāmī Pad ki jai.
What's that?
No, I think it was too low. We just needed the other. Hear it. Yeah. Nitai Gunamani Amar, Nitai Gunamani, page 61 in the songbook. If you don't have a songbook, then just scroll to the latest post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu and you will see the bhajans posted there. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
O Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Nitai Gunamani Amar Nitai Gunamani Nandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai.
I guess I'm not quite with it today. Sorry, dear Vaishnavas, I keep messing up.
Sanskrit Sake Kalaya Gorumudaram. Page 340. Sakhe Kalaya Goram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Goram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Goram Udaram. Kalaya Goram Udaram. Nindita Hato Kārtika Śrī Satyavrata Muni ki jai. What was the request for yesterday? Is it Mahārāja? Mahārāja.
That person's not here though.
Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram, page 293. 293. Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram. Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram Nayanam Madhuram Hasitam Madhuram Adharam Hridayam Madhuram Gamanam Madhuram Madhuradhipate Rakhiram Madhuram Vachanam Madhuram Charitam Madhuram Vasanam Madhuram Varitam Madhuram Chalitam Madhuram Ramitam Madhuram Madhuradhipate Rakhiram Madhuram Venu Madhuro Venur Madhuro Anir Madhura Pado Madhura Nityam Madhuram Satyam Madhuram Madhuradhipate Rakhiram Madhuram Nitam Madhuram Everything is sweet about the original Lord of Sweetness. There was a group from South India who decided that it doesn't make sense that Madhuradhipater Akilam Madhuram, because they understand Sanskrit, so they changed it to Mathuradhipater Akilam Madhuram. But these kinds of pastimes don't happen in Mathura, so actually it makes more sense to have Madhuradhipate because he is the original Lord of Sweetness. Although he is the Lord of Mathura, the Krishna of Mathura and the Krishna of Dwarka are not the same as the Krishna of Vrindavan. As stated directly in the verses in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Lord of Sweetness, Krishna of Vrindavan. So that Krishna who lives in Vrindavan, Vrindavanam Parityajya Padamekam Nagachati, he never steps one footstep outside of Vrindavan. And the other forms, the manifestations, his avatars, Ram Adi Murti Shukala Nyamena Tishnan, they're all manifestations of him. And they're manifesting different moods for his pastime's sake. They're performing so many different pastimes, but they're manifestations of that original Krishna of Vrindavan, or the original Lord of Sweetness. Madhuradhipater Akilam Madhuram. You know what I was thinking about? Venu Gita from our childhood. You know when we would listen the sound of Krishna's flute. So she was saying perturbed. Yes. We grew up listening to the Krishna stories tapes when we were young. Well, we were very young. And
yeah, can you sing the flute song?
How is it our son, the bamboo? I can't. Oh, it's very difficult. Well, let Sudevi sing it for you.
No.
The bamboo is thinking of their son, the small bamboo rod that Krishna is using to play as his flute. And they're feeling so proud that Krishna is playing a bamboo flute, because everything is conscious in Vrindavan. So even the bamboo, the senior bamboos are so... And in Sri Brahma Samhita, there in the verse, just after all of the verses which say Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, the next one, listen to this, Sudevi knows this shlok. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpatarvo Druma Bhumishchintamani Garamayi Toyamamritam Kataganam Natyam
Gamanam api Vangshi Priyasaki.
Gamanam api Vangshi Priyasaki. Krishna's flute, even the gopis are jealous of that flute. That he's treating that flute more than us, always giving the nectar of his lips. Vangshi Priyasaki, his flute is his most dear Saki. So the gopis are jealous of that flute. How is it that our property is being taken by this dumb piece of bamboo like that? And they have this... See?
Oh, Devaki knows it. How is it our son?
Should I bring you up on...
No.
Okay.
It's so cute.
It's funny, once we were falling asleep and we were listening to the Krishna stories, and then it was my mother. she was in that one of the gopis speaking, and so they was like, "That's your mother," and I'm like, no. And she's like, yes, it is. And it was my mother. So.
Śrīmati Radhika.
Yes. I want to sing. Radha bhajane jadi mati nahi bela. Page 110. When I saw this prayer by Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, and the next one, or 2 pages later, by Narottam Das Thakur, and where's the other one? What is it? Radhika Charana Padma by Bhaktivedānta Thakur. You see their nishta, their firm conviction in the lotus feet of Śrīmati Radhika. So much so that if someone does not want to glorify her, they don't even want to hear their names. There was something that was going around. Someone made a spoof of not being able to say Radhe.
He said Radhe.
Srila Prabhupada said the gopis are our most worshipful personalities.
Oh.
So there's no harm saying Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. In fact, Hare in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is none other than Śrīmati Radhika, Hare, the vocative case, who is stealing the heart of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. So if there's no difference, then there's no harm either. Jaya Jaya Radhanam. One who worships only Krishna alone, they are ignorant. And who disrespects Sri Radha is only conceited. We cannot accept Madhava separate from Radha. That's like accepting the sun, but without its heat, without its light, without its shape, without its nourishment, without any of its attributes. Then it ceases to be the sun any longer. So Radha is the complete Shakti, Krishna is the complete possessor of all Shakti, in the same way that fire and its heat cannot be separated. So Radhika cannot be separated from Krishna.
It starts with Radha bhajane jadi mati nahi bela. So Radha bhajane.
Page 110. Radha bhajane jadi mati nahi bela Krishna bhajana karo akaram bela
Radha bhajane jadi mati nahi bela Krishna
Which Damodarāṣṭakam did we do the last time?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Does anybody remember which Damodarāṣṭakam tune we did?
It's got ghee on it, it's slippery.
The one you grew up with, Janardam.
That's the one we did last time.
Okay.
Shri
Thank you, Janardam Prabhu.
Damodar ki
Jai.
jai. Radha Ramana ki jai.
Jai.
Radha Bihari Ju ki jai. Shachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai. Śrīla Mahārāja ki jai. Shalagram Shila ki jai. Laddu Gopal ki jai. And the little one, I can't even see him from here. Ki jai.
Devotee thinks it's the old one too.
I don't think we did it yesterday.
No,
because we were out.
Yeah.
Page 290. 290.
Just so you know, you could do it as high as you want. I'm not going to sing with you.
Really? Namami Sharanam Sachidanandarupam Lasaripundaram Gokule Vraj Jai. Now, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sounds like Kartik down there.
So it's up here too. We're still doing Damodarāṣṭakam.
True.
It is Kartik. The extended version.
Yes. Sometimes in Kartik, the kirtans in the temple room, when they had those wampers, or actually the technical name is jumpa, somehow we called it wampers, because they wamp. They're like big enough to put as a big hat, like, you know, one of those. And they were so loud, I kind of had to stand on the outskirts of the temple during the kirtans because it was just so loud. Anyhow.
It brought joy to the brahmacharis.
Yes. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Niti Namine Nama Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, after my Dandava Pranam thousands of times, in the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashtotara Shata Shri Śrīmad, Śrī Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashtotara Shata Shri Śrīmad, Śrī Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe 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 Sham.
Radhe Radhe.
You need to put that on just in case it goes off. Nothing, not even an indication came up though.
Okay. Will you be watching it at the same time?
Generally I listen, I'm sewing.
Okay. 1 second. So before entering into this wonderful treasure, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, I recommend you get it, you keep it in your home, and you continue to read it again and again and again. First of all, this is no ordinary book. It is a treasure of the heart's revelations of pure devotees of Krishna. It is manifested from the heart of Śrī Satyavrata Muni, written down in Padma Purana by Vyasadeva, commented on by our Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī. Then there's a commentary on that with the added addition of the heart's revelation of our Param Gurudev, Śrīla Bhakti Prajnan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And then there's the commentary of our Śrīla Gurudev, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja on all of those commentaries. So it is full of beautiful transcendental treasures, and it has become more and more sweet as a result of these personalities tasting and revealing these sweet pastimes. So before entering into this beautiful treasure and investigating its contents, we will first pray in the dust of the lotus feet in the words of Śrī Raghunath Goswami. Vairag Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatna Apayana Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripambudirya Paradukuduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest itself within our hearts. Hare Krishna. So we're on verse 3 of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Iti drikṣvalīlābhir ānanda kunde svaghosham nīmājantam ākyapayantam tadiyeshitāyeshu bhaktarjitatvam Puna prematastam shatavritti vande namamishwaram sachidanandarupam la satkundalam gokule brajamanam. So the other day, Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, actually whose commentary is this? Digdarshani Tika, Sanātana Gosvāmī, then Digdarshani Tika Bhavanubhad, that is of our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. We were discussing how Bhagavan, or the Supreme Lord, only comes under the control of his loving servants. He does not come under the control of those who approach him with a mood of awe and reverence. They're looking upon him as their master, and therefore he's not coming under their control. Rather, he is their controller. But those who have so much love for him that they have crossed over that boundary, rather, they have completely overwhelmed that mood with their love and affection. So much so that it becomes like a particle of dust drowned in an unlimited ocean. Those persons can control Krishna, and he is happy to be controlled by their love and affection. So here our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj translating the Tika of the commentary of Sanātana Gosvāmī, and then adding also his own moods commentary there. They're adding here, actually Sanātana Gosvāmī personally explained this verse above, Darshayam Stad Vidam Loka Atmanu Bhritya Bhashyatam, from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.11.9, that Bhagavan Shri Krishna showed the community of those who know about his supreme position that he only remains under the full control of his loving devotees. Tomar Hridoye Sada Govinda Vishram. Within the hearts of his pure devotees, he always resides. Govinda Kohina Mama Vaishnava Paran. Krishna himself, Govinda himself says, my devotees are my life and soul. So because they have given everything to him, without any desire for anything themselves, he's endeavoring to reciprocate. But if someone has fully surrendered, then what can you give them in return if you try to reciprocate? If they have given themselves completely, then it makes sense that he is also reciprocating by giving himself completely. That is how they are able to control him, by their love and affection. So Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pādi is saying that Krishna himself is showing the world, he's showing the universe, that those who know about his supreme opulence, they cannot control him. And he's showing all of those personalities that only my beloved Brajavasis, my beloved pure devotees, can fully control me. Under his, only those who are his loving servants. So it sounds like, wait a second, if there's his servants, then how are they controlling him? He is their master, they are his servant. Ekala Ishvara Krishna ar sababritya. There's only one supreme Ishwar or controller, and that is Krishna, and all others are his servants. So how is it that the servant is able to control the master? The speciality of Vrindavan is such that their service to Krishna is that they take the superior role. And it's not like they're thinking, to please him, then I have to take the superior role. It's not like Srimati Radhika is meditating, okay, now I have to pretend to have man and then Krishna will break it. All of it is happening naturally. So Nanda Baba, Yashoda is telling Krishna, bring me this. Nanda Baba is saying, bring my shoes. The cowherd boys are wrestling Krishna. Srimati Radhika is going into this state of jealous anger, man. And although it all is manifesting like ordinary worldly relationships, it is not ordinary or worldly. It is based on spontaneous, pure love. And how is that? Because Krishna is the only object of their love and affection. Krishnendriya priti icha dhare premanam. The nature or desire to satisfy the transcendental senses of Krishna, to please Krishna, to serve him, to love him, and for what is for his benefit, that is prem. Especially when it is exclusively for Krishna. That is called Krishna Anushilanam. Means there's no other desire for anything whatsoever. All of their activities have only one center, and that is Krishna. That's why Srila Bhaktivedānta Mahārāja and other acharyas also have told, they've given the example of a compass needle. You know a compass, which you use to draw circles? If you put the needle in the center, you can draw 1,000 circles, all different sizes, and not one of them will conflict with one another because there's one center. The moment you put another center, there's only conflict everywhere. So that's the nature of this material world. Each person wants to be the controller. Why aren't you doing what I want you to do? You should do what I want you to do. Oh, you're not doing what I want you to do, then I don't like you. And so this kind of egoistic, manipulative, controlling nature is here. Basically, we're all here because we want to play the role of being the controller, desiring to lord it over the material nature, where in fact there is only one supreme controller, and that is Krishna. And yet, that Krishna, for his loving service, comes under the control of his nearest and dearest devotees, the Brajavasis, who only know Krishna, who only love Krishna, not because he has power or because he has potency or because of any other reason. All they know is that they love him. It is spontaneous. So Krishna, showing those who know about his supreme opulence, he's showing them that he willingly comes under the control of his loving devotees. This is to glorify his loving devotees. And even if you see in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the first 9 cantos are glorifying the supremacy of Bhagavan. I think the first canto is entitled Creation. And there you're seeing Mahavishnu lying in the causal ocean. And there he's breathing in a single out-breath. Unlimited universes are manifesting from his body and expanding. And then his in-breath, they're all contracting and re-entering again into their primordial form. And he breathes out again. And so all of these things are discussed. All of these different pastimes, different avatars are mentioned. And then at the end of mentioning all of the different avatars, it says, Ete chansakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All of these are his angsa, they're his manifestations. But Krishna himself is the supreme Bhagavan, the supreme Lord. And then as you finish the 9 cantos, seeing all of the different levels, Shantaras and Dasyaras, then you start coming into a different relationship. You see Krishna in Vrindavan. And so there's a lot of qualification building up to Brajalila so that we don't misunderstand it to be ordinary, mundane activities. It is the Supreme Lord in his very, very personal, very intimate play, his own pastimes. And when those personalities who realize, all of these who are aware of his supreme majesty and supreme opulence, see that, they become completely confounded, amazed that the supreme absolute truth himself is playing like a little boy in the courtyard of Nanda Baba and being defeated by the love of his devotees. They are completely shocked. And so the 10th canto is there, and then after the 10th canto you have some more tattva gyan, very strong, 11th and 12th cantos. So how do we explain that? Like a sandwich. You have your bread on either side, and then you've got the jam in the middle. This is the sweetness, the Mathura ras, the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. But there needs to be something to contain it. And so Śrīmad Bhagavatam is containing that 10th canto within the first 9 and the last 2. Then you've got that section speaking about Krishna in Vrindavan. And really everything is focusing on that. So then we have the continued parentheses. In other words, the original Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chandra, is exhibiting that in every respect. He is only controlled by his loving servants in Braj. And among them, he is especially controlled by those in Unnata Ujvala Rasa. Unnata means the highest. Unnata, without end. And then Ujvala means brilliant or effulgent, and Rasa means relationship or what is giving pleasure and happiness and taste to Krishna. He is especially controlled by those in Unnata Ujvala Rasa, the supremely pure humor of Madhurya Rasa or transcendental amor. He is not controlled by devotees who worship him on the path of Aishwarya Bhakti, which is characterized by the mood of reverence. Nor is he controlled by jnanis, who know him to be the self-sufficient, supremely powerful Lord, nor by those whose bhakti is mixed with such jnana. So those who approach the Lord with karma mishra bhakti means bhakti but mixed with fruit of desires, or jnana mishra bhakti, bhakti or devotion mixed with this knowledge of his absoluteness. They cannot control him. They know that he is Atmaram, Aptakam. He's completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything outside of himself. He has no desire that is never instantaneously fulfilled by his Yogamaya potency. So what does he need from me? Our Gurudev would frequently say, after Lord Narasimhadev fought with Hiranyakashipu for quite a long time, did Prahlad think to give him a glass of water? Oh, you must be thirsty. Let me massage your feet. You must be tired. He didn't think like this at all. He understood that Bhagavan is Atmaram Aptakam. He doesn't need anything. So this is Jnana Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Bhakti. Of course, Prahlad is a pure devotee, but he has this Aishwarya conception. So we don't see that he is controlling him like the Brajabasis. There's a beautiful interaction of affection, but he's not controlling him like the Brajabasis control Krishna. Not only do they think he needs water, Mother Yashoda is telling him, you have to wear shoes. Your feet are so soft. And Krishna is like, well, then you have to give shoes to all of my mothers. All of these cows. How many cows? 900,000 cows. 4 times 9. 3,600,000 shoes for the cows. And an umbrella for each of them. each of those cows. Then I will wear shoes. The gopis, their hearts break on thinking that Krishna is going out to the forest and even a pebble or a thorn or anything might just press on the bottom of Krishna's feet, which are so soft. Why are they so soft? Because he's made of butter. So their hearts break upon even thinking of this. They don't want to see one bead of perspiration come on his forehead due to any difficulty that he may encounter. They understand that he's so soft. And so all the Brajabasis, they think not only that they are his, this is called Madhya Bhav. Tadiya. But really, also they think he is mine, Madhya. And with this possessive mood, this is called mamata. He is mine. With that possessive mood, to the extent that one has a mood of possessiveness to Krishna in pure love and affection, like the Brajabasis, to that extent, Krishna is controlled. And who has more of this mood, this possessive mood, than anyone else? Srimati Radhika. She has this mood more than anyone else. Sudevi was telling yesterday at Mansarovar how Srimati Radhika, she's thinking about Chandravali in that group, because their mood is, we are the servants of Krishna. They have this mood, very, very subdued. And Radhika and her group is kind of the opposite. They have a lot of control over Krishna and they understand how to increase his transcendental bliss. And these two groups don't see eye to eye. They don't understand each other. One is saying, how can she be like that? How can she always create so much difficulty for Krishna? And the other one's like, how can they not do that?
Kishori?
Yes?
Does one group say, I am Krishna's, and the other, Krishna is mine?
So one is saying, I am Krishna's, and the other is saying, Krishna is mine. So there's a very big contrast between these two. If one says that I am Krishna's, I belong to Krishna, this is one part of it. But having that feeling and then topped with that feeling that Krishna is mine, then when that feeling is pure and transcendental, Krishna is completely controlled by that. Mother Yashoda thinks Krishna is mine. He is my son. Nanda Baba thinks Krishna is my son. And in reality, Krishna is their son. And any real Brajabasi would never ever think anything different than that. Anyone who thinks anything different than that, they cannot call themselves a Brajabasi. Our Srila Gurudev, when he would go to different places, I remember in 1996, we went to Gokul Mahalan. This is the place where Krishna was born. And there's a beautiful palace of Nanda Baba. It is the same area, just around the corner from there, where Krishna was tied to the grinding mortar. So there's a temple there for that also. And in that place, we were waiting for quite a long time to have darshan of Thakurji. And the Pandit there was giving a very long-winded explanation, building up to pulling the curtains open. But most of the explanation was about how much donation we should give. But some of the things he was telling, that Krishna was born in Mathura, in the jail cell of King Kamsa. And then he was brought over by Vasudeva Maharaj and then switched with the baby girl of Yashoda. So this is the general understanding. And our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Maharaj called a meeting instantaneously with all of the Pandits of Gokul Mahalan at that time. He sat there with them and set them all straight. Very, very strongly too. How can you call yourself a Brajabasi and say that he is born in Mathura? And then Gurudev gave all of the evidences from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, from Garga Samhita, from so many different places, that Krishna manifested in the jail cell of Kamsa, not born, manifested as a four-armed, beautiful, youthful Nārayaṇ form, holding conch shell, disc, club, lotus flower, fully clothed, with a helmet, with yellow clothes, Vaijanti mala down past his knees, and that means the Vaijanti garland of forest flowers. And Vasudeva and Devaki immediately were offering prayers to him, offering prayers to Bhagavan. So they're aware of his Aishvaryata. They have Aishvarya Gyan to Bhagavan. And they prayed to Bhagavan that he would come as their son, but they still had awareness of his awe and majesty. Whereas at the same time that he manifested in the jail cell of King Kamsa to Vasudeva and Devaki, according to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it is there in a hidden form, but the pure devotees have extracted it, and it's told in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahaprabhu has given these conceptions. All of our Rupanuga Guru Varga have treasured these conceptions, and they have shared them with us. Krishna himself, the original Krishna, was born from the womb of Yashoda as a twin to Yogamaya. So there's Krishna, baby Krishna, and the twin girl. Because the original Krishna never at any time steps one foot outside of Vrindavan. So when Vasudeva Maharaj came with his Krishna, they prayed to that Krishna in the jail cell, please take your baby form. Before he took the baby form, he gave an order. Okay, but immediately bring me to the house of Nanda and Yashoda and exchange me with their baby girl. Unbeknownst to Vasudeva Maharaj, he was taking this Vasudeva Krishna to Vrindavan. And when he placed this Krishna down and took that baby girl, he didn't see or didn't realize everyone was deeply asleep, but that Vasudeva Krishna merged into the original Krishna. So our Srila Gurudev and our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, with so much proof from Shastra, have told that the original Krishna is only to be found in Vrindavan. When he was born from Mother Yashoda, how do we know he was born? Because she swore to him, you came from my womb. We did the umbilical cutting ceremony. I swear to Nārayaṇa, you are my son, she said. So, even in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it says, Nanda Atmaja, the son of Nanda Maharaj. When Durga Devi kicked Kamsa in the head as he was trying to dash that baby girl to the floor, instead she manifested as the 8-armed Durga, his Ishta Devi, kicked him in the head as she was flying up into the air. She called him a fool, and she told him, that person who is meant to kill you has already been born somewhere else. He took his birth somewhere else. And then again in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Śrīmad Bhagavatam calls that daughter of Yashoda the younger sister of Krishna. How could she be the younger sister of Krishna? Unless she was also born from the same womb that Krishna was born. So, many different evidences are given there, and our Rupanuga Acharyas have gone through with the finest tooth comb and extracted all of these very beautiful truths. Devaki, that is a very good question, a very deep question, and we will have to get to that at another time. It appears from one perspective that he has left, and from another perspective, we understand that he never steps one foot outside of Vrindavan. And even in the conversations, Krishna is telling, I'm just going to mention, Krishna tells the gopis, every day I am here, but you think that I am gone. So in their madness of prema in separation, they think that he's gone or that they're having some kind of vision of him, some spurti. And he's like, no, I'm here, I'm here. So this is all a manifestation of divine prema in past times. And our Rupanuga Guru Varga have gone into it very, very deeply to discuss these points. I believe it may come up again in this book, but also we discussed it in Going Beyond Vaikuntha. So from one perspective, we can understand that he never left. And even the Krishna who left Vrindavan was not the original Krishna. There's Samyogini, Viyogini, Radhika, same with Krishna. There's different manifestations. The Krishna and Balaram who went to Mathura, this is also another proof given in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. When Akrura was bringing them, Akrura, he was bringing them on his chariot. He stopped at the Jamuna, just on the border of Mathura and Vrindavan. Stopping there, he went into Yamuna to chant his mantras. And he saw something. Because first Krishna Balaram went and took bath, and then he saw them go back to the chariot, and then he went to chant his mantras in Yamuna. And then he saw Krishna and Balaram on the chariot, and then he saw Krishna and Balaram in the forest, and he was very confused. Then he saw in front of him Anantashesh and Mahavishnu. And he was very confused. Wait a second, I'm seeing two sets. This is also told in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So how is it that he was seeing two different sets of Krishna and Balaram? When one chants their Diksha mantras, they call upon the mercy of their Ishtadev. Whoever that mantra is for, you call them. So by your Guru mantra and Guru Gayatri, you're calling your Gurudev. By your Gaur mantra and Gaur Gayatri, you're calling Sachinandan Gaur Hari. By your Krishna mantra, Gopal mantra, you'll be calling your particular form of your worshipful Lord. So Akrura's mantras are different than the mantras that we're receiving in the Rupanuga Guru Varga. Who is Akrura's Ishtadev? Nārāyaṇa, Krishna, Mathura Krishna. So by chanting his mantras, he called his own Ishtadev, his own worshipful deities, Mathuresh, Krishna, and Balaram. And those were the ones who went with him on the chariot to Mathura. And the original Krishna and Balaram remained in Vrindavan. Now, there's so many different discussions about this, and it can be extremely lengthy. But so many evidences are given there in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. And without a proper guide, without a pure devotee to unlock and open all of these secret treasures for us, we may never see them or know them. That's why in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita it is told, if you want to read Śrīmad Bhagavatam, if you want to study Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Jaha Bhagavata Para Vaishnaverasthane, you must take shelter of any Vaishnava. Because Bhagavatam is considered non-different from the heart of Krishna. And who knows the heart of Krishna? Only his pure devotees know Krishna. They understand, they can see this deep heart of Krishna, and they can extract the jewels from within. From the outside, we might only see the external, but they're able to dive deep and understand. So all Shastras tell us that we should always associate with the pure devotees and hear from them. Then we'll be able to actually receive the depth of what Bhagavatam is trying to give. All of our scriptures are like that. They're all encoded. The verses are like sutras. Sutra means shorthand. It's code. I'll give you an example. When I show Sudevi this, she knows what that means. There's a whole story behind it. An interaction with Gurudev that was so funny and so sweet and so amusing. Just that. When I show you or anyone else, it might just mean, if I say, what's this? You might go, thumbs. Well, what does it mean? I don't know. So that in itself is an example of how Shastra is for us. If we try to ascertain the absolute truth by our own power, we will be hopeless in our endeavor. But if we take shelter of those who are tattvadarshis, those who are knowers, seers, and experiencers of the truth, then by their love and affection, they're able to control Krishna, and they're able to also manifest Krishna in our hearts. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoite. They have the power to give Krishna. Krishna se tomar, Krishna is yours, O Vaishnav Thakur. Krishna dite paro, you can give Krishna. Tomara shakti ache. It is certainly within your power to do so. This is how we pray to the devotees. So for us to take to the ascending process, by my own power, by my own strength, by my own knowledge, I will capture the infinite. It will never happen. But if the infinite chooses to reveal himself, Sudevi?
Yes?
When I say reveal himself, what do you think?
To me? Hiranyakashipu?
Prahlad Maharaj is telling Hiranyakashipu, he will reveal himself. And Hiranyakashipu says, reveal himself to me, Hiranyakashipu. So, he will reveal himself by his own accord. But the pure devotee, because they have captured Krishna within the core of their hearts, they have the power to also give him. He consents, allows himself, and in essence, he's almost helpless to it because love is so overpowering. He's able to be manipulated, in essence, given, taken, moved here and there by the will of his pure, loving devotees. As we just read yesterday, or day before, sorry. Tad vasho daru yantravat. Enchanted by them, he became like a wooden puppet in their hands. How he's able to be controlled by their love and affection, dancing and singing for a laddu. Dancing and singing. If you dance and you sing a song for me, I will give you a laddu. And little Krishna starts to dance and sing, give me laddu, give me laddu. This kind of control. He is completely controlled by them. So our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, he called a meeting of all of these persons, the big pundits. And this has happened on many occasions. It happened in Mathura. He was never afraid to tell it. And he would even challenge them. You have not read Śrīmad Bhagavatam? You don't know these things? He would challenge. And they all had to accept defeat, even though they may have been upset about it. But still, they had to accept it. Why? Because the proof is there in Shastra. So I remember specifically, he told this pujari, the main pujari of Gokul Mahavan, 1996, you can find the video. It's there. He was saying, and he had all of us around him, and he would speak in English and then Hindi so we could hear and see also what he was doing. He said, no real Brajabasi could ever think that Krishna is born in Mathura. They only know that Krishna is the son of Yashoda and Nanda Baba. And then he would say, how can you call yourself a Brajabasi and say these things? And then Gurudev said, from now, make a vow, make a promise that you won't speak those things anymore. That you will tell this conception, and they'd be like, yes, okay. So he had so much potency and conviction in the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the teachings of Rupa Goswami and our Guru Varga, that he was able to share it like that, and they had to accept. Still so many tell so many different ideas, but they had to accept because the proof is there in Shastra. So they were their eyes were opened. One time in Mathura, see, Mathura is where the Mathuravasis reside, so they can have maybe a slightly different mood. He was there, and there was a big assembly, and he said, please don't take it personally, don't be upset, and then he spoke the truth. Whew. Oh, it was like a wasp's nest. They were like, becoming upset and everything like this, and he was like, here it's told in Bhagavad, he was giving all the proofs, but they were still becoming so upset. And finally, Srila Gurudev said, okay, if you're going to be like that, then I will leave this place. You don't want to hear Śrīmad Bhagavatam? You don't want to hear the proofs? Then I will leave this place. And no. And then they all became silent and quiet, and they accepted. And he was the most respected sadhu in all of Mathura and in all of Braj. All of Braj got together. Once every 100 years or so, they get together and they name someone, they give a title. And this title they gave is Yuga Acharya, means the Acharya of the Yuga. When I was there when they told him they wanted to give him this title, and he was laughing. He's like, I'm not the Yuga Acharya. Rupa Gosvāmī is the Yuga Acharya. But on behalf of Rupa Gosvāmī and our Guru Varga, I will accept it. And he was just laughing. He's like, I'm not the Yuga Acharya. But anyhow, they give this once every 100 years for that sadhu who establishes the moods of Braj and also helps to restore and make Braj beautiful. So Gurudev was spending so much time, energy, money, planting so many trees, cleaning the lakes and the kunds, rebuilding so many kundas and holy places, really absorbed in glorifying Vrindavan to the world. So Gurudev had them practically like holding their ears. It's a sign of humility, supplication. Promise me you will never speak these things again like that. You are in Vrindavan, you're here in Nanda Bhavan in Gokul, Mahavan. Don't speak those other things. Krishna was born here from the womb of Yashoda. So those who have this mood of reverence, Aishwarya Bhakti, he is not controlled by them. Those who are jnanis, who know him to be self-sufficient, self-satisfied, has no desire outside of himself, they also cannot control him. He's only controlled by pure love and devotion. Why is Nanda Mahārāja telling Krishna in Mathura, after killing Kamsa, that he is only Krishna's foster father? Good question, Raktambar Prabhu. We need to look at the direct Sanskrit to English translations. There, in this earthly lila, this is Bhoma lila, sometimes it appears in such a way. We hear that Mother Yashoda also, she had this mood in deep separation that I need to go and be with Krishna. Even she began packing some bags that with toys and everything, that I will go and become the last maidservant of Devaki, so that I might be able to even have darshan of Krishna once. And even I will call myself just the maidservant, but just so that I can have darshan of Krishna. This is their mood of separation. Krishna's mood in Mathura, this mood is of being the son of Vasudeva Maharaj. And in Vrindavan, of course, his mood is that he is the son of Nanda and Yashoda. But I have heard from different devotees who have listened to our Srila Gurudev that on this earthly plane, it appears that Krishna has gone from Vrindavan to Mathura. So there are many different conceptions happening all at the same time. Many different ideas. The original Nanda Baba also never leaves Vrindavan. The original Yashoda also never leaves Vrindavan. Srimati Radhika, the original, never leaves Vrindavan. The original Baladev and the original Krishna never at any time leave Vrindavan. So for pastime's sake, then we see all of this. How is it that Krishna in Dwarka has so many memories of Vrindavan? And he's weeping, remembering the gopis in Vrindavan. So there's so many different things to consider. I will have to research more on what Srila Gurudev spoke about this particular thing, Raktambar Prabhu, and then I will get back to you on it. I know these questions have been asked, and I'm just not familiar enough. Maybe there's another devotee present here who may be able to share what Srila Gurudev spoke on this particular subject. Because I know he has. Many persons have asked these questions to him, and this one I'm not so familiar with. Sometimes we hear that Nanda and Yashoda are Krishna's foster parents, and that Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Well, Krishna in Mathura, Mathuresh Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and he's Bhagavan. In Vrindavan, he is the son of Nanda and Yashoda. But even during his Diksha Lila, in Mathura, they're trying to break Krishna's relationship with Nanda and Yashoda. They're saying, you are the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. And there's a certain point when you're receiving Diksha where they told him, now you should beg alms. You should beg some donation from your mother. And at that point, Krishna, he's thinking only of Yashoda. Smoke is in his eyes, and he starts calling for his mother, Maya, Yashoda, calling Maya, Maya means mother. And he's got his cloth out, and he's only looking for Yashoda. And Devaki comes and she stands in front of him. I'm here, I'm your mother. And Krishna's just crying, searching for Yashoda. Where is my mother? Where is my mother? So through this Diksha, they're trying to give him a rebirth. Dvija, rebirth, that you are not of Nanda, you are not of Yashoda, you are of Mathura. They're trying to break his Vrindavan connection and establish him as Mathura. So who was it? Janaki Didi had it in her notes from our Srila Gurudev, and I would need to get this reconciled or reconfirmed by other devotees, that in the Homa Vrindavan pastimes, from one perspective, it is that Krishna who goes to Mathura and then on to Dwarka. And from another perspective as well, that same original Krishna and Balaram remain in Vrindavan. Sometimes it is said in a hidden form, sometimes it is said that they are there, but everyone thinks that they are gone. So there's so many different depths of conception, and we will have to be able to reconcile all of them by the grace of our pure devotees in the Rupanuga Guru Varga. So we will do some more research on that, okay? Raktambar Prabhu. I can guarantee you our Srila Gurudev would be able to answer that very clearly and cleanly. But there is another meaning of tadiyeshita gyeshu bhaktair jitatvam. Sri Krishna only reveals that he is willingly controlled by his loving devotees, only to those who have proper knowledge of such beloved devotees' exalted position. That's interesting. So, those who understand how high, how much love, how much mamata Krishna's Brajavasis have for Krishna, then he reveals to them, those persons who have appreciation for that love, then he reveals to those persons that he is willingly controlled by his loving devotees. This is because bhakti, and especially its glories, are very confidential. So he does not reveal it to everyone. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse, Krishna says that I reveal myself to those whom I choose to reveal myself to. I am not able to be seen by just anyone, and really only by those who have love and devotion for me. Or those, in this case, tadiyeshita gyeshu. Tadiya means who is near and dear to Krishna. So, this is because bhakti, and especially its glories, are very confidential, so he does not reveal it to everyone. I'm going to give a practical example. what someone does in front of their own family might be very different than what they do with their invited friends who come maybe once a month to visit. And then if there's a program of devotees and they're all coming together, then there's also maybe a little bit different. With your friends, you will joke, maybe you've known each other for a long time, but there still might be a little bit of formality. With your family, you might be able to just laugh and joke and be a goof off. And they accept you for that. But that's what happens in your family, and it shouldn't be told outside. And then with your friends, you have a certain element, but it might not be as intimate. And then when you're in the group, in a kirtan party or a program with devotees, then there's a different level of formality, a different level of respect and honor, maybe certain things we wouldn't do in that situation that we might do in our very private, personal situation. And Krishna is also like that. What we see in this world is a perverted reflection of that transcendental reality. What he does in his own private place is very, very confidential. It's his private life, his private pastimes. That's why it's not meant really for the details of all of that. It's not meant for public dissemination. And if there is some public dissemination, then it has to be very qualified. Like Srila Prabhupada disseminated it all over the world in the form of Krishna book, but in there he gave so much tattva gyan, tattva siddhant, qualifying it so we didn't misunderstand it. So we didn't mundanize it or materialize it. So we had some proper respect for it. So these are Krishna's confidential pastimes. It's where he puts down his Aishwarya, his opulence and supreme majesty. And he's running from the stick of Yashoda. And his friends are wrestling him and he's trying to cheat his way out of it. Where he's stealing butter and feeding it to monkeys and pinching babies and making them cry and urinating on the floor and sometimes holding the tails of calves and skidding in the mixture of gobar, cow dung and cow urine. It's nice for sledding and skiing in. Baladev and Krishna are holding the tails of the calves as they're running through this way and that way, up to all kinds of mischief, where he's become subservient to his parents and the elderly gopis, where he's become very subservient to Srimati Radhika. So much so, as Sudevi told yesterday, that he's begging her, he's placing his peacock feather, very valuable possession, placing that at her feet, placing his flute at her feet, placing himself at her feet and begging for her mercy. So in Vrindavan, these kinds of very sweet, intimate, confidential pastimes are taking place. And Krishna only reveals those pastimes to those persons who have faith, regard, and respect for those personalities who have that loving affection for him. And he reveals it through the very capable and trustworthy personalities in our Guru Varga, the Madhyam Bhagavat Guru, who is in essence the carrier of bhakti. By their association, by hearing from them, that bhakti is awakened in our heart. And how is that bhakti awakened in our heart? By hearing of the intimate and confidential pastimes of Krishna from them who have practical experience of those pastimes. By that, a greed develops in our heart, tatra lolyam. That greed awakens in our heart, and that desire to serve Krishna with intense longing, that Krishna seva vasanam, with lobhamayi bhakti, this intense longing, desperate necessity to love and serve Krishna in the wake of the moods of the Brajavasis. This manifests in our heart by their association. So Krishna does not reveal his confidential pastimes to everyone. And we see even in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was very hesitant to write down so much of what he did write down. And he said, basically, I feel quite concerned that this will be available for the public. But then he reconciled it by stating that what gives me great sense of relief and a great sense of joy is that those who are not qualified will not be able to understand or enter into it anyway. So it won't go in to those persons who are unqualified or those who have no real attraction for it. It will skim over them. So he said, this is a great source of happiness for me. So what is the qualification for hearing Rasa Lila Katha? One is the person speaking it. They are completely free from any tinge of mundane lust of this world. Their hearts are already saturated with prema bhakti ras. They're completely absorbed in those pastimes of Krishna. And what is the qualification of the listener? Shraddha anvito nishinuyat. That they have faith, shraddha, in the person speaking, regard, respect, honor, and they're willing to accept the teachings, the instructions, the discipline of that person they're hearing from. So with that kind of faith, honor, regard, it might be that we have mundane desires in our hearts. Otherwise, Bhagavatam wouldn't have said, the cure for the disease of mundane lust in your heart is to hear that subject from the lips of the pure devotees. If that's the cure, then it's assuming, we can assume and understand, and our Guru Varga have explained it, that that's taking into account that it might still be present in our heart. You can't be pure first. How does purity manifest? Well, something has to come. The clean water has to come to wash out all of the dirt. So prema bhakti jaha hoite avidya vinasha jate. Srila Gurudev would quote this quite often. First, prema bhakti comes in the form of shraddha. And from there it begins to grow. And gradually, as we are practicing bhajana kriya, the activities of bhajan, meaning developing the moods of loving service to Krishna, then as an effect of that, naturally, automatically you can say, anartha navriti, means all anarthas, all things which are unfavorable for the attainment of our goal, our artha, or loving service to Krishna, this is gradually cleaned out from the heart. Right? Mahaprabhu didn't say, you're a pure devotee. No, he said, Cheto Darpanamarjanam. Take shelter of Harinam, and gradually the mirror of the heart will be cleansed. The mirror of the mind will be cleansed. And then you will be able to see the truth. Rupa Goswami also didn't say, you're a pure devotee. He said, Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya. That in the beginning, it might be bitter. We might not like it. Why? Because we've only ever endeavored to be the center, to please ourselves. And suddenly we have to switch and become the servant and do everything to please someone else. It seems foreign to us. So, Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Rarochikanu Kinvadarad Anudinam Khalu Shaiva Jushta Svadvi Kramad Bhavatitad Gadamulahantri. That in the beginning, it might be bitter. Just like sugar or sugar candy is bitter for someone who has jaundice. Jaundice is when your eyeballs turn that color yellow and your body is kind of the color of a banana, a yellow one. Yes, I've had it twice. And your liver is fried, and any sugar candy you put in your mouth or any sweet, it just tastes bitter. It doesn't taste right. It doesn't taste good at all. But according to this verse, that is the cure. The sugar candy is the cure or the test by which you will know that you are improving. So, Rupa Goswami says, continue chanting, and gradually you will be purified of this diseased condition. And then, once you are pure or pure enough, you will begin to taste the sweetness. Once you begin to taste the sweetness, that is called ruchi. Taste is coming. And when that taste starts to come, everything else starts to lose its attractiveness. To such a point, tunde tannavani ratim gutanute tundavani labdhaye karna krodha kadambani gatayate karna budebhyaspriham cheta prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janitakya viramitaye krishniti varnadvayi. Rupa Goswami is telling how much nectar is in these two syllables, Krishna. How much nectar is there? He said these 2 ears are completely insufficient to drink that nectar. This one tongue is completely insufficient. I require millions of tongues and millions of ears to taste and drink this nectar. So ruchi, taste is coming. And the more that you are tasting Krishna Bhakti Ras, the more necessity manifests, because it is unlimited and increasingly tasteful. That is the nature of Krishna Bhakti Rasa. So more and more necessity will come. Even if there's every reason for it to break, not only will it not break, but that taste will continue to increase more and more and more forever. This is the nature of Krishna's unlimitedness. How much nectar? Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the form of the complete ocean of transcendental nectar. Rasa Amrit means the nectar of Adharam Madhuram, Badanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram. Everything is sweet about him. Everything. So, it is inappropriate to explain it to anyone who is not specifically acquainted with the exalted glories of the Vaishnavas and who is only interested in impersonal knowledge. We wouldn't share our own personal lives with someone who is antagonistic toward us. They would just try to use it against us. Their mood would be toxic. You said, oh yes, I did this, and then blah, they just cut it, they criticize you, try to smear you, and create all kinds of disturbance in your life. And the same for these exalted glories. For those who have faith, right? This is one of the nam aparads, to instruct the faithless persons. Those who have no faith, to try to instruct them, it's considered aparad to the holy name. So it's different to chant the holy names. That is gradually purifying, but actually instructing someone who really doesn't believe or have any faith about these particular subjects that we are discussing, it can be considered offensive to the holy names. So somehow by trick, by any means, we might be able to inspire someone. It might be through the medium of prasadam, or it might be through the medium of just being kind and nice. And they think, oh, you're very sweet. My grandmother, for example, she never really took any interest. But near the end of her life, she started saying, I believe in God. Maybe not your version, but I believe in God. And then she started telling us, I'm jealous of your life. You get to travel everywhere and you get to do what you want to do, and I'm just stuck. And we told her, you can join us if you can play the kartals. You have to chant Hare Krishna. And she was like, I could do it. Yeah, she's like, I could do it. But she started to appreciate gradually. My father always was somehow trying to gradually enculture her into some conception of Krishna consciousness. But most of the time she was manifesting a certain kind of faithlessness. But near the end, she started manifesting something else. And little did she know that her own husband, who was an avowed atheist, he had, he must have been 90 years old at the time. He slipped and hit his head. And he went to the hospital. And he was there for quite some time. And when he came out, he was a little bit different. Not in terms of, because of hitting his head. But he didn't tell her, he told me, you know? When I was in that situation, I saw other beings. And I saw them talking, and I saw them discussing everything. He said, I know there's something else. I know there's something else out there. So he wasn't just what he was before. Suddenly he had faith in something much deeper based on his experience. And then every time he would get off the phone with me, he would say, Haribol. He never did that before, ever. But now he's saying Haribol. And my grandmother used to tell her friends around the block, they would ask her, oh, you have children, your grandchildren? Yeah, they're Hare Krishnas. What's a Hare Krishna? Oh, they believe in Krishna. They worship, he's the God of love, and they chant Hare Krishna, and they travel around the world. And she was telling us, I was like, my God, my grandmother's preaching to her elderly friends in Las Vegas around the block. And she would tell us in a way, we'd be like, you're not like nervous to, no, it's nice. It's nice to be able to tell them what you're doing like this. So gradually, just by the name of Krishna, then something begins to awaken inside. Because really, what is the nature of every jiva? Really, inside, jivera swarupahoy Krishner nityadas. All this other stuff, the body, the mind, intelligence, ego, all of these layers of material energy, pus, blood, mucus, bones, stool, and flesh, and everything else, everything that's there, that's covering, all of that is just an external imposition. It's like a binding prison. And the soul is inside. But the soul's intrinsic inherent nature is to love and serve Krishna. And so it might be inappropriate to preach the glories of Krishna to someone who is faithless. Even Krishna says so in one of the very last verses of Bhagavad Gita. But by the power of the holy names, just by chanting the holy names and by the power of Mahaprasad, and maybe the power of a book, or somehow, someone's heart can begin to gradually change over time. They begin to build bhakti sukriti. Some kind of transcendental merits start to build in their heart over time. And gradually they will be able to comprehend spiritual subject matter, or at least honor a sadhu. Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikram Mahārāja spoke about this in terms of mrigari, the hunter. Mriga Adi means the enemy of the animals. Adi means enemy, Mriga means deer or animals. So Mrigari, he was a hunter, but not any normal kind of hunter. He enjoyed just shooting animals with his arrows and watching them slowly flutter and squirm to death over a long period of time. This was his joy in his life. So enemy of the animals. A lot of people, they just kill their animal and then do whatever, but he liked to watch them slowly die. And Narada Muni came through that forest one day. When Narada Muni came through, all of the animals, they moved out of the way. Mrigari said, hey, what are you doing disturbing my pastimes? You're in the way. And Mrigari also wanted to kill him. But Narada Muni just said, stop. Like that. And Mrigari stopped. Srila Trivikram Mahārāja asked, why did he stop at that moment? When Narada Muni said stop. He was killing so many animals, but Narada Muni said stop, and he stopped. He listened to the sadhu. He said, due to previous lifetime sukriti, something inside from previous lifetimes gave him enough merit that when Narada Muni said stop, he stopped. Like that. And then Narada Muni began to tell him, you shouldn't do this. And he said, how will I survive? This is how I survive. This is how I eat. I don't have any other source of maintenance. Narada Muni told him, he showed him what will happen in all of his future births. For every animal that you've killed and made suffer, you will have to come back and taste the consequences. So thousands and thousands of future lives of suffering like that. Mrigadhi literally was shaking in his boots. I don't know if he had boots, but he was shaking. And at that time, being so afraid, he was looking at Narada Muni. Narada Muni told him, you should break your bow. He was like, Narada Muni said, don't worry. Krishna will protect, he will maintain you, he will take care of everything. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. For one who surrenders unto me exclusively, one-pointedly, I will carry what they lack and I will preserve what they have. So Mrigadhi followed the orders of Narada Muni. First, just by this, stop. Just by following that first order, he amassed so much sukriti. He developed even more faith. And then Narada Muni showed him what he showed him. He developed a lot more faith. And then Narada Muni instructed him. He followed the words of Narada Muni. And he was no longer Mrigadhi. He became so dear to the animals that the animals loved him. So this is the nature of following the pure devotees and following these instructions gradually, even through so many different mediums. It might be through...
Just look at the time.
Yeah, it might be through the medium of prasadam. It might be through the medium of just somehow or other pleasing a devotee. Maybe even inadvertently. Maybe even as an insect, like an ant, coming and taking 1 grain of prasadam. 1 grain of prasadam from any pure devotee. Something. Then that sukriti begins to develop. Spiritual merits. Over time, amassing these sukritis. Bhakti sukriti. Not just material sukritis. Material sukritis are different than bhakti sukritis. In the verse describing what is the qualification, the root qualification for Krishna Bhakti Ras, there it says, Janma Koti Shukritar Nalabhyate. Millions of lifetimes of doing good activities in this world cannot awaken within one's heart the taste for Krishna Bhakti Rasa. It means all kinds of philanthropic activities, feeding the poor, doing this, giving clothing, free eye hospitals, and whatever else. All of these charity things, this altruistic work, this cannot give one the qualification for Krishna Bhakti Rasa. What is the root qualification for it? The intense greedy desire to have it. But how does that intense greed manifest? By bhakti sukriti. So that is something different. Spiritual merits developed over time will give us the inclination to hear from and to follow the instructions of and to serve the pure devotees of the Lord. And by their mercy, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mool Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Bhakti will take birth in our heart by the association of those sadhus. And by that association, of course, more and more Bhakti Sukriti manifests until, you can say, in our spiritual bank account, it is so full that it continues to just make more and more until yavat ashray vritti, which means there's no end in sight. That increase, that loving, longing, thirst to serve Krishna increases more and more and more forever. So, it is considered inappropriate to explain the confidential pastimes, the exalted glories, the confidential pastimes of the Lord to those persons who are only interested in impersonal knowledge. It means they don't really respect the form of Krishna. They're impersonal. Impersonal, sometimes it could be that they even acknowledge the form of the Lord, but they're just trying to use the form as a stepping stool to arrive at their impersonal understanding. And this is considered aparad. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti ma buddha manusham dharmashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That fools deride me means they don't respect, they disrespect him. When I descend in my human-like form, they do not know my transcendental nature. and my supreme dominion, my control over everything. And he says, those who understand that the nature of my birth and activities, janma karma chame divyam, are transcendental, means there's nothing to do with the material world, they will attain to my nature, means we can attain to his divine loving service. So atheistic persons, or those who are opposed to Krishna Bhakti, they in essence somehow have less sukriti, and we're not supposed to impose the personal glories of Krishna onto them. Gradually, by somehow, we can help them, but not directly, by speaking of those intimate pastimes. From this perspective, the previously cited verse should be interpreted by connecting vidam with britya vashyata. Thus, the general meaning of tad vidam, those who know Shri Krishna's supreme position, becomes britya vashyata vidam. Those who know that Shri Krishna willingly comes under the control of his loving servants. Yes, I'm just finishing this. It's like 2 sentences. Therefore, Śrī Satyavrata Muni prays, overwhelmed with incomparable, pure, loving devotion for you, I offer you my prayers of adoration. Hundreds of times to you, the Supreme Lord, I offer my prayers again and again. Thus, in this verse, the sage wishes to say, among the limbs of bhakti, which are required for all devotees, I only pray to perform one special limb of bhakti, bandhana, to constantly express my adoration for Sri Bhagavan. I do not pray for knowledge of Sri Bhagavan's opulence or anything else. So, even in the 9 processes of bhakti mentioned in Śrīmad Bhagavatam by Prahlāda Maharaj, Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, this is repeating what we've heard, or glorifying Krishna's names, forms, qualities, pastimes, and his tadiya, those who are near and dear to him, the Vaishnavas. Shravana Kirtana, Smarana, means to remember those pastimes. Bandhana, offering prayers. So here, Satyavrata Muni is paying attention at this point to offering prayers again and again. In what? Adoration. Expressing constantly my adoration for Sri Bhagavan. So it's almost, they cannot help it when there's this kind of infatuation and affection, then one cannot help themselves but to notice the attributes, the beauty of his form, the names, the qualities and the pastimes, and to glorify them. That is bandhana, offering of prayers. So, now it is getting late. We will begin tomorrow with our Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Maharaja's commentary on this 3rd verse of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. So many beautiful, sweet pastimes of little Krishna are present here. One thing I wanted to mention before we end today is that the fact that Srila Gurudev is completely smitten by these sweet childhood pastimes of Krishna doesn't mean that he is actually in Vatsalya praying. We should not mistake that to think that he is in that eternal mood. But those who love Krishna love all of Krishna's pastimes. So just because any pure devotee may be appreciating the pastimes of Krishna as Ram, or the pastimes of Krishna as Narasingha, or the pastimes of Krishna as Dwarkadish Krishna or Nārayaṇa, or the pastimes of Krishna in different rasas, doesn't mean that their own intrinsic, eternal, fixed rasa is changing. It just means that they adore their beloved Krishna so much that they appreciate all of his transcendental pastimes. So from tomorrow, we will continue hearing so many beautiful, sweet pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And Srila Gurudev was so expert at revealing these beautiful pastimes. And Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Janardhan Prabhu referenced, nothing to do, Baba.
Nothing to do. Srila Gaura Govinda Mahārāja.
That's the definition of faith, Shraddha. Just by endeavoring to serve Krishna, by following the process of bhakti, Krishna bhakti koile, sarva karma krito hoy. Everything is automatically done. There is nothing to do, Baba.
Nothing to do.
Srila Gaura Govinda Mahārāja ki
Jai.
jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Madhave. Bolo Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Shyam Gaura Premanande
Hari Hari Bo.
So thank you all very much for being with us today
Thank you.
and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga. And especially, we're indebted to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Radhe
Radhe Bihari Ju ki
Jai.
jai. Shachinandan Gaura Hari
Ki jai.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.